Hello and welcome to the next part of the Victoria 2 Let's Learn. Today we'll be going through technology and everything involved in this panel, how it works and what each of these technologies do. So let's start off this little panel here. You can see here would be the bar loading percentage of the current technology. So if it was 50%, you've 50% researched it, etc. Down here is the literacy of your population, which we talked about earlier, is the percentage of people that are literate. And the rate of your technology is very heavily affected by this number. So say in somewhere like Sweden, there aren't many people, but most of them are literate, so they will research quicker. This number here is the amount of research points produced by clergymen, and if you go back into the budget, you can see here that this is the amount we are spending on education, which revolves around clergymen. So that's this main basic panel here. Now if you go into it, you can see straight away this is a list of the technologies we can learn. And this is split into 5 different tabs, and under these 5 tabs are 5 more tabs. So you can see right now we're in Army, and underneath Army we have 5 little tabs about the Army. And you can see the same with Navy, Commerce, Culture and Industry. And depending on what country you're playing, you have different ones at the start of the game. You can see right now we've got quite a bit of industry and culture and commerce, and navy actually, but no, only the first row of army. And so let's just go through this main screen first. Up here is if your research is affected by any educational systems. Now you can enact reforms which will change the rate of which you research current things. Like right now we have avant-garde intelligentsia, which you can see here. We get minus 25% speed to Navy, 5% bonus speed to Culture, and minus 5% to Industry. So it'll be faster at researching Culture, but a lot slower at researching Navy. And, these will just be decisions that you'll be able to choose throughout the game, and France starts with this one. Anyway, so that's this little tab here. Next, I'm going to try and explain sort of start to end how you'd research something. So let's say we want to research Army Doctrine, right? This is the Army Doctrine. This is all about forts and organization. Forts and digging cap. And what forts are, if I back out, you can see if I click a province, I have the option to build a fort on it, and this will increase defense. If you have a unit there and it gets attacked, the fort will add a lot to its defense. Likewise, digging cap is essentially the same as a bonus to defense if you have a unit that has stayed in the same place for so long. So say we have, this little one here takes up to digging cap level 6. So say we have a unit stationed in one province and he stays there for like 5 years. When he gets attacked, he's going to have a huge bonus to defense just because he's been there so long. And that's what digging cap does. And supply consumption means that if we go back into the budget and inventory, you can see these are the stuff we have to spend on land units. It means that they will use more of those, so we'll have to buy more if we research that thing. So they'll be more defended, more well defended, but we'll have to pay for more things to keep that going. And here, if I click research on this now, actually, you'll be able to see it comes in the top corner here, and that the little green bar will fill from this end to this end. And when it's done, the research will be done, and then we'll probably have access to this one. But let's just go through this little panel here. Now this is the name of it, and this, as you can see, is what it does. We have a nice little picture here. This is the amount of research points it will take. So if we go across here, these are all the same, and as we get to the next levels, it becomes more and more and more and more. So to research the sort of second level of things is a lot quicker than researching something start to finish all the way down. And this is also important. This is the activation year. This is the first year that you can start researching this. So if I go down to point defense, you can see the first year I can start researching this is 1850, and it's, what year is it? 1836. So I'm nowhere near being able to research this yet. So after I research this, I'll have to go research some other things, maybe some commerce, things like that. But this is the activation year. Now if I go back to strategic mobility, these are also very important. These are things that will randomly be researched after we have this technology. They're called inventions. So you can see field fortifications, which add a bunch of defense to our units. And you can see at the bottom there, we have a base chance of 2% per I believe, month after we research this technology to invent field fortifications. And below that, you can see that this percentage is... Let me just stop moving the mouse. This percentage is also influenced by if we have other things. You can see if we've invented mechanical production, we'll then have a 5% chance every month to research it. And if you've got organised factories, that'll bump it up to a 7% chance. So if you want sort of a particular invention, which becomes very important if you want to colonise, because if I go to medicine now, you need, say, where is it? Prophylaxis against malaria. That helps you colonise, one of the main things you need. And you can see there, plus 3% chance France is not a colonial nation, plus 2% chance have invented inorganic chemistry. So it's very important to check what your inventions need if you want to plan for a certain one. And that's basically how technology works in general. Now what I'm going to do is go through a quick sort of run over of what each sort of section is about, so you can get a better idea of what you need to be researching. And like we've already said, this is about digging caps and fault levels. This one is about combat width. So combat width is, in a battle, you can have so many people on the front line, and as you research this, that width will go down and down and down. So at the start of the game, you'll have maybe 30 people on the front line, and as you research more and get more into the game, you'll have, say, I think 10 at the end on the front line, and then people behind. So that's what combat width is about. But it also, this main tab here is also about researching new sort of units to get. And you can see here there's lots of defense and researches and inventions you can get from it. So it's very important. The next one is all about artillery. You can see here attack and support. Now support is, like I said about you can only have so many people on the front line. Support means it can attack from the second line. So you can see you would have your front line full of infantry and then your second line full of cavalry, and that will create the most optimized army you can have because you're attacking with as many people as possible. And you can see again here the supply consumption goes up. Military plans is all about organisation. And if I remember about organisation, this is sort of your morale of your troops. And every unit, if I go to an army, there we go, I'll go to here. You can see organisation 29.6 out of 40, and that's a little green bar you can see here. And organisation is increased by morale, which you can also research. But essentially, when this green bar gets to 0, you can still have all your troops left, but they will run away from a fight and you'll be defeated. So it's kind of like, once this reaches 0, they will run away, and you don't want that to happen. So it's very important to keep your organisation high, especially in larger battles where it can drain quite quickly. Next we have morale and military tactics, which I've talked about morale. I'm not quite sure what military tactics does, but you can just see some of the inventions here are about mobilization, which I'll talk about in another video. But next we're on to Navy. Again, this is about naval bases. Naval bases, naval bases allow you to build different, more advanced types of ships. You can see here, if I go to monitors, are a type of ship that I think you need a naval base of at least 2 to build. So this increases, you know, the level of the naval base and the stuff you can make with it. Next we have all about speed and inventions. You can see we have dreadnoughts here. So this is all about speed and the invention of new ships, which you can then build. This is all about build time, so you can build ships in less days. Supply range is how far a ship can go with the supplies it's got before they start to run out. So, you know, long voyages, a ship may run out of supplies and all the crew may die. So you don't want that to happen. So you need, if you plan to travel quite far, you need a lot of supply range. And again, organisation I've talked about, when this reaches 0, they will flee. And ships are very hard to defeat, so organisation is more important there. Commerce, tax efficiency is, you know, how well a percentage of tax will get you. Admin efficiency, with administration efficiency, sorry, we've talked about here. This is administration. We've talked about that in the budget tutorial. Factory input efficiency tech. This basically means that you need 1% less of what you would normally need for a factory to create the same product. So say you need 10 wood, you now need 9 wood. And that's how that works. And this just keeps going on. And there's lots of inventions here you can see. This one here is... diplomatic influence. So say you increase relations, the number it's going to increase by will go up with each one of these. And you can see in the early ones it's also mining and farming output. And organized factories is about output efficiency tech, so it will output more based on the 100% input. So if you input 100%, you output 101%. And you know, if you have a lot of factories, this starts to add up quite significantly. Next is culture. You can see prestige gains here, and prestige works two ways. So it's this number up here, which is your prestige, which you are ranked on. But researching each one of these individually will give you a bonus to any prestige you next get. So you get a 5% bonus to the next amount of prestige. However, you can see some of the inventions here. It says shared prestige. And what shared prestige means is, let's go to one down here. Oh, yeah, it's already like that, okay. So, it means basically that the next person, to research this and get this invention will get 10 prestige. The person after that will get 5 prestige, then 2.5, then 1.25, and it will keep halving everyone that researches it until it just reaches 1, and you'll just get 1. But if you say are lacking quite a bit of prestige, if you sort of just rush all these prestige researchers, then you can start racking up a lot of prestige because you'll get huge amounts for researching these first. And you can see again, you can get a bonus there. Philosophy increases the amount of research points you get. Self-explanatory. Educational efficiency, we've talked about in budget. Education. And colonial migration, I believe, means that if you have a colonial province, say you take an African place, an African country, then more people will move to that country instead of it just being, you know, sort of, there's no French people there, it's all Africans. People will start to move there and then eventually be able to change it into a state of France rather than just a colony. Next we have political thought, which is national focuses, which I'll talk about in population, but it's right there. So you can see we got 0 out of 2, then it becomes 0 out of 3, 0 out of 4, 0 out of 5, 0 out of 6, 0 out of 7. That's, you know, self-explanatory on that level. Reinforcements, how quickly a unit reinforces its men. And reg experience, I can't say I know, but I imagine it's something to do with, I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on to industry now. Final stretch. This one's self-explanatory. We have outputs, mining and farming, And I believe you can also get some factories this way. You see aeroplane and automobile factories. Here we have factory throughput tech, which is kind of the same as input and output. It just increases efficiency. And you can see here is some cost reduction as well to buy and run the factories. This one is all about your mining output. So you can see here it increases. So if you have a mining industry, this can, you know, you want to be focusing on this. And railroads, which I've talked about in production, increase the output of factories that have a railroad because people will travel to it and you'll get more workers. And it's just very important to try and build railroads everywhere. Now, supply limit, I'll go into in more depth. But basically, if I go to a province, is this number here, 40. And this will increase, you know, percentage-wise. But we'll go on to that when we get onto military. But I believe that just about covers everything for technology. So I may have to split this video into 2 parts if it's too long. I'm not quite sure it is. But join us on the next video, where it'll probably be a 2 or 3-parter, where we'll go into this mess of a panel here called politics. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoy the rest of the series. If you want to go back to the playlist, there'll be an annotation on the screen. If not, then just stick around and you'll be redirected to the next video in the playlist.